Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the July 3rd, 2012 Fellowship of the Geeks live broadcast. My name is Thomas Chick. Les Webster will be joining us momentarily. He had to step away for a moment, and joining us via the miracle of Skype is Mike Marlowe.
How's it going, gang? Is it really a miracle? I mean, come on.
Well, concerning what we were going through the last few minutes, yeah, it's a miracle. We got this thing going.
It's a miracle now. Yeah.
Let's just say we had some technical difficulties before going on. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to have Mike on or not, but everything's fine. Mike's here. We're all here, and hopefully you're here too. First off, I want to say to anybody who's watching us on the live broadcast, I hope everybody has a safe and fun 4th of July, and if you're watching this in reruns on YouTube or the website, I hope you had a safe holiday. I hope everything went fine. I hope you had a good time. Tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about San Diego Comic-Con, which, if you hadn't noticed, it's coming up next week. It's coming up next week. So all the publishers are putting out the information regarding creators doing signings at the booths, schedules for the different panels, and of course the exclusives that they'll have at the con.
It is all they're talking about right now.
Yeah, that's from some strange reason, I was thinking this would be a light week news-wise because of the holiday tomorrow, and then it dawned on me, duh, we got the con the following week, so yeah, everybody's going to be talking about what they're going to be promoting, what they're going to have. So
yeah, not only is this week going to be hectic, so is next week, because there's going to be all the con stuff, and then the week after that with all the after the con stuff.
Yeah, all the official press releases for after all the announcements they make at the con. So the next 3 weeks this week and the next 2 weeks, you're right, are going to be busy. So bear with me because I'm going to be posting a bunch of stuff just like everybody else. I kind of wish I would be there, but to be able to do it firsthand, but I wouldn't have been able to do it by myself. So, not only were we wanting to talk about the con itself, but as we are joined by Les Webster.
Good evening.
Yay!
It's scary, isn't it?
And then there were three. Also, what we wanted to talk about was a book that we had the privilege to read, although I'll admit that I have not completed reading it, but I know you guys have. It's called Comic-Con and the Business of Pop Culture, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Mike, I know you read it, and the first thing you said, okay, have you guys read it? I want to talk about this. So we're like, okay, hang on a second. So, it's by McGraw-Hill. McGraw-Hill released it. The author is
Rob Salkowitz.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Comic-Con and the Business of Pop Culture.
Yep. So
coming out kind of any time now.
Well, I understood it was supposed to come out a week or so ago, and we hope to have a review on the website here shortly.
Any minute now.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
probably not during the show. But
no, not during the show, but
typing feverishly.
But if I'm not mistaken, this takes place during. This is his thoughts of and his analysis of the 2010 convention. Am I not mistaken?
That is correct.
Is it 10?
I believe so. Let me double
Or is
check.
it 09?
I thought it was 11.
Oh, was it 11? Okay.
Yeah, the summer of 2011.
Wow, just last year? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he cranked it out.
Yeah. Okay, so forgive me. The first of many mistakes tonight. So, since I hadn't completed reading it, why don't y'all go ahead and kind of go into your thoughts about it and what you would want to talk about in particular, Mike.
My whole deal, what I wanted to, I mean, my thing was I've never been. So, I mean, there's a good bit of description of stuff that goes on both in the foreground and in the background, and a lot of stuff that he talks about, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, a lot of market-specific information there, and how things are working, and how he thinks things will continue to work. Because this guy, he describes himself as a futurist. So my deal was, I was curious to find out, to learn from a con veteran, him less, how good the descriptions are, how accurate the descriptions of the foreground stuff were, thinking that would give me a better sense of how accurate and reliable the background stuff would be.
I'm going to say that it's just about spot on. Being a person that has attended several of the San Diego cons, he's pretty much on target with what goes on there at the dealer's floor and in some of the rooms. I was very intrigued with the way he was handling the business end of it. That was kind of striking as to what transpires there. So it was, to me, it was fun. It was an interesting read and informative as can be.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it seemed like he was kind of using some of the stuff that was going on in the foreground to kind of go back in parallel with how the industry itself, I don't want to say works exactly, but, or at least his view of how the industry is functioning, and how whether or not, I mean, all these discussions, not just this book, but many of the discussions that I've seen about the comic book industry is it collapsing? Is it falling apart? Is it going to go by the wayside in the next few years? And I kind of get the impression that conversation's been going on for at least a decade, which leads me to believe that, maybe it's not going away in 3 years' time, like everybody seems to keep thinking. But that's kind of where I was trying to get a feel for. I mean, this guy seems pretty positive overall. He doesn't seem, he's not one of those who's saying, oh, this thing's going to fall apart. So I was trying to, and I mean, given how long that discussion's been going on, I kind of agree anyway, separately.
Yeah.
But I was sort of curious as to, I mean, I don't know enough detail about that aspect of the industry to know how realistic this Mr. Salkowitz is being.
I will have to agree with you, Mike. It's not something that's going to disappear quickly. I know digital is coming, and a lot of stuff is only obtainable.
Oh, I think it's safe to say digital's here, really.
But I don't see that it's going to override the printed page. Is that where you're going with this?
Oh, I'm not necessarily going in any specific direction. One of the things I thought was interesting was he was throwing some industry numbers around and saying, so I didn't make any specific notes about this, but talking about how many millions of books things sell. One that sort of stuck in my head was he said that 70 million people went to see the second Batman flick, and like it sold like 70,000. The adaptation, the comics adaptation or whatever, or something along that line, sold like 70,000 copies about the same time. So, I mean,
you're saying that it's not necessarily an equation that a movie will spark comic sales?
I think that was kind of his point, was that comics seems to have a I don't want to say a fixed audience, but certainly a smaller target audience than a feature film would, for example, and that he was talking about there being some declines in hard copy sales, but he was also very optimistic. His point seemed to be, this doesn't mean that the whole industry is collapsing.
Yeah, and I believe he's right.
Well, he is right. Just what we've seen in literally the last calendar year with the new 52, which has increased sales, which has got more interest, and of course what Marvel's doing, and then you have Image has been selling copies left and right, and so are Boom, and it's almost on a daily basis that I'm seeing that books are selling out and they're doing second printings and that kind of stuff. So,
one question I have to that is, are they running smaller first printings because of all of the doom and gloom that's going on?
They are.
They are.
Right.
And then they are surprised when something goes up so quickly.
Goes to a fourth or fifth printing, like Thief of Thieves and the likes.
Yeah, AVX stuff.
Yeah.
But the other cool part for them is that it gives them another chance to throw out the media stuff and say, hey, we're going to another news bite. We're going to a third printing on something.
Yeah.
So in a way, it might have been better for them to have been doing that in the first place instead of printing 2 million copies of Batman, whatever.
Well,
if they print 70,000 copies, they'd be sure they're going to sell that, and if they happen to have enough demand that they can do a second printing, bully for them,
In the comparison mode there, of which you speak, I would have liked to see him compare the box office of the Avengers this year with sales of the comic book, because I have not seen a marked increase in Avengers comic books. Not as many people, I don't know of as many people that have increased the market for that comic book. Come up and say, hey, I want this. Not even the new release of The Amazing Spider-Man. Have I seen anybody come up and say, please sign me up for Spider-Man? Or here's a stack of Spider-Man off your shelves, sell it to me.
Draw enough interest where someone will just walk in and get it, yeah. Well, I know Brandon has talked about that. Brandon, who works at the store, has made a comment before about not really seeing the correlation between the comic book movie and the interest in said titles featuring that character or characters, even though the companies have literally flooded the market with anything they can with that particular character or characters.
Sure.
And it still does. So,
case in point, last week, the Amazing Spider-Man comic book came out, and the villain was the Lizard. Now, that's called timing. I'm sure that there were
on purpose.
Yeah, there was probably a story in there, a storyline in there that they moved for a couple of months just so they could make sure that they hit Lizard the same time the movie came out. And of course, that's what people are going to run to at the comic shop, is a comic book with that Nemesis feature. What was it? What movie was it just recently that had Deadpool in it? Last year?
Deadpool?
Yeah.
You talking about the actor, or you talking about the character?
The character was in the movie.
The character was in Wolverine.
Yeah, I was going to say Wolverine.
Okay. Wolverine. It didn't mean that people were running to get the comic. But Deadpool had flooded the market those few weeks prior to the movie Wolverine, so it was known who he was.
Well, in that particular case, we may be getting off topic here. I don't know, but which is something we're used to doing. But I don't think it was that's particularly the case with Deadpool. I think Deadpool was such a popular character that they decided to do 5 or 6 different titles, and then one of them came out. Well, one of them was like a mini series that was weekly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're right. Because I mean, look what happened. It was last year with Thor and Captain America. It was like every week there was something with either one of those two, not counting Avengers. So,
well,
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, let me get back then. Mike, was there anything in the book described that didn't seem believable? As far
No,
as
not specifically. No, I just was sort of trying to get a sense of. I mean, you read enough stuff, and I admit I have, and it doesn't take. I mean, sometimes you can just tell whether somebody's full of it or not based on what they're writing. So what I was trying to do was get a sense of how realistic the thing was. It made sense. I read it, and it was an interesting read, and it made a lot of sense based on what little I knew. I was wanting to get the opinion of someone who knew more about the stuff than I did, and it sounds like we're kind of in agreement.
I believe so.
Kind of the veracity of the work.
Yes, that's a good term. It's very true to the feeling of the convention, because even the small conventions we've been to, you see the same interesting things happening, similar things, and his prose on it, I'm going to say again, is spot on.
Okay. Like I said, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's what I was hoping to hear, because that's what you want to see. That's what a fanboy wants to see in a book like that. Is you want an accurate reproduction, because you want you want people who are either newly initiated or might possibly be initiated by a book like that to get an accurate representation of what's coming if they decide to go to Comic-Con this year or next year or whatever.
Right.
So that's what I was hoping to hear.
Okay, what else did they talk about, since I didn't get that far? I mean, I was in a couple of chapters in, but I just hadn't had a chance to finish it up. What else did he talk about?
Okay.
Okay. Did he talk about, like, say, did he talk about anything about, like, the media, not the media, Hollywood, how Hollywood has come in and how they've kind of
transformed
it?
Yeah, he did he not?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely I'm not sure I got exactly what his feeling was on it, but he definitely kind of described how it has gone from being a comic book convention to being this massive popular culture extravaganza.
Because if anything, what we'll be seeing next week is all the publicity for whatever different movies, whether it's a side of a building covered up with a poster for a movie, or like I remember in the book there was a picture of elevator doors that recreated the door from Walking Dead, saying "Do not open these," and it's just kind of that kind of publicity, or that kind of thing, that promotional stuff.
It's everywhere there.
Yeah, it just seems like it literally floods the city.
If you go to restaurants, there's a particular restaurant there very close to the convention center that redoes their menus to reflect the comic book craze, and it is just
No pun intended.
no pun intended. They show a lot of items in they rename their foods, their dishes to reflect it, and it's fun because I've taken a couple of menus from there myself, but usually I would ask and they say you may have it. So
Yeah, I'm sure you asked. I'm sure.
I did. I did.
Well, I believe it.
Thank you.
And then the hotel rooms, the keys. They would change the keys to whatever movie or upcoming TV show or something like that.
And
he actually did describe that in the book.
And it was interesting in the book because he was saying his wife wanted a different key.
I think I remember that now.
Which I thought was funny because on Sunday, the last day of the convention, I went down to the hotel room or hotel desk and asked for a copy of each of the keys. And they said, "Oh, sure, here you go." And I got like 6 different keys.
They're going to throw them away when all of it's done.
That's right. They're of no use to them then. So it's a promotional key. Let's make sure that everybody sees that Smallville is coming out on DVD as they're opening their door.
Door to go to her room.
And of course, for a fanboy like me, I'm just giddy to have all these different keys. They don't do any good. I guess I could take them to another place and say, "Could you just charge this one up for my room?" And they would do, but other than that, they're of no use to me.
Yeah.
But I have them. I can actually say, "Here, I have a sheet of these now." So, it's the business aspect in the book I hadn't thought about, but I want to thank him for doing it because it gave me a lot of insight.
Yeah, I definitely want to read it so I know that, because it's the behind the scenes stuff that I'm always interested in. Taking it to a more local level here, I would always want to know how things are going with the guys with Dallas Comic Con, Ben and Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, I see them running around and they're having to fix things on the fly and all that kind of stuff. And I've always wanted to know how all that stuff worked. So I definitely need to sit down and read this book. I just had too many other things going on. But it's definitely, it sounds interesting, and from what I've read, it was interesting. So
I'm willing to bet that if you really want to know how Dallas Comic Con works, if you walked up to those guys and volunteered to help, they would almost certainly let you. And you would get to see it from an inside perspective. You might have to work your butt off for it, but you would get your insider perspective pretty quickly.
But I think that's right too. That way you do understand what's going on, and all of a sudden the hustle and bustle is so much, or you're in so much hustle and bustle then. You're trying to, at the local level, trying to keep up with these guys, and I tried it, and it's not easy. Now to go to San Diego and do the same thing.
About 1 million times. Just multiply it by 1 million times.
Yeah, you need a Bronze Star when you get out of there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because there is, and something I didn't see, and tell me if I missed it, guys, but I didn't see I don't recall seeing a story about what transpires outside. Do you remember seeing anything about the people that are outside in costume or anything else?
Not other than in passing. I mean, he was. I mean, obviously he was the insider there, so he was on the inside, and so I mean, very very seldom did he talk about. I mean, he mentioned the general madness going on out in the street or whatever, or stuff that they walked past on their way back to the hotel. But for the most part, he was one of those that was like going to the parties at night.
Yeah.
and hanging out with the big wigs in the comic book industry.
Now, that would be cool.
Yeah, and I will say the hotel that we stayed in had one of those parties they had one party, at least one party each of the times I've gone. And you would get on elevators and be riding up there with creators or actors or something like that. Of course, they're letting you off on your floor while they're going upstairs, but you're always wanting to reach for something and say, "Can you sign this?" And it wasn't uncommon. Then they got smart and just put a bullet train express elevator to the top, so they wouldn't be bothered with fools like me. They would end up standing down in the lobby and getting autographs before they ascended.
Yeah.
But to me, that was part of it too. Yeah, there wasn't any wheeling and dealing as far as like in comparison to the show floor, but those people are also getting the interest up in their movies, comic books, TV shows, garage bands,
video
games, fight choreography, whatever it may be. I mean, it was always there, and it started at 7 in the morning as you're making your way to the convention center that didn't open until 9 or 10.
Wow.
And it was constantly during the day. So.
Yeah, I know. I've been seeing the schedules for panels next week, and I'm just like, there's just no way. There's like one. What they got, about a dozen or so spaces, rooms, and there's like one going every 30 minutes or some such.
Let's say dozens.
Dozens
Of rooms.
Dozens of rooms, and one's going every 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. And as soon as that one's done, they have time to clear it out and bring in the next group. Yeah. It's amazing.
Like I think I've told you before, I would have to clone myself a dozen times to do everything.
There's no way you could do everything in a place like that.
You wish.
I mean, I've been the only parallel I've got in my life is I've been to a couple of academic conferences, and it's one of those deals where you literally have to sit down with the schedule beforehand and decide what is most important to you for each time slot, because there's 10 or 15 different things. At the really big ones, there's 10 or 15 different things going on at a time, and you have to sit down and decide which one is interesting to me, which one's most interesting to me, which one can I not miss.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doing it all, especially in a setting that large.
Well, I'm not saying doing it all, but I mean, there's just.
Mike is right. You have to pick and choose as to what you want to go see, who you want to hear a lecture from, and just hope in a lot of cases that you can get in there. Because even the huge auditoriums, similar to the one in Irving that we've attended, those will be packed, wall-to-wall people, standing room only at the back, and of course, bad things have happened at locations like that, but still, you have to, like Mike said, you have to go through a list, and I was finding myself doing that, getting a printout online and just start marking through it each hour that I wanted to go see something.
And of course, there's all the vendors too.
And then there's the vendors. I want to do these 6 things, but if I do these 6, then I'll get 1 hour done on the vending room.
Right, and you're going four straight days. You're going from open to close doing that, and it's and you're still only seeing like 5% of what's going on, and you're running yourself ragged, and you're completely exhausted by the end.
And you're ready to push anything and anybody out of your way.
Right.
Just even going back to your hotel room, you're just tired. Just let me go.
And there are plenty of people around to push too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody brings strollers, and everybody brings their backpacks. And
anything they can to make their lives easier for that time.
Yeah. And I've joked about it, but I've really felt like I can get into the vendor's floor and pick up my feet and just let the crowd carry me and signal as to where I want to be dropped off. And they'll just kind of place me and then keep moving.
You went to a convention and a rock concert started?
That's about right.
A rave started.
That's right.
Makes crowd surfing go a whole new level.
Woohoo!
Free bird!
and then, of course, at the cons are the giveaways. That's
and the exclusive stuff.
And the exclusives.
Oh,
Wow.
the exclusive stuff is awesome.
Yeah. Last, or 09? Yeah, 09 was Green Lantern. So you could get the Green Lantern figures, all the variants, and people were walking around going, hey, I've got this version and I'm looking for the black version.
Right.
And it's just mayhem. I'll give you $100 for the black version. Well, okay. And some of the things, yeah, you can get hold of, and some of them you can't. But you have to fight your way through it.
Yeah, I've posted some of the stuff that's going to be up there this year, and I'm like, oh God, I'd love to get my hands on some of this.
Yeah, I saw some of the figures that Dark Horse was presenting, the Iron Man.
Yeah, well, I also posted today that they're doing a hardcover, I think it was Gold Leaf or something like that. It's the Compendium of Walking Dead of the first 48 comics, first 48 issues. And then there's a special variant of the Frank Miller, Dave, Mazzucchelli, Born Again, Daredevil. It's a special variant. I'm like, and we're getting off topic again. I'm sorry. That's the fanboy in me there.
No, we're not. That's the deal. That's what this whole thing is about. We're talking about Comic-Con. It's all about the fanboy thing.
Okay. All right. I'm not off topic then. Cool.
Well, and luckily the book is on topic enough that it gives you the fanboy plus the business.
Yeah.
And the fanboy sections I flew through because I knew what he was talking about. Then the business started getting me to think. And that was fascinating. It's not only fascinating that he wrote it, it's fascinating to get me to think. So he succeeded.
Insert joke there.
Yeah. So left wide open for you. Yeah.
Well, you notice I said that and not actually make a joke. So.
Well. So I was impressed with the book. I thought it was a good read, and it brought a lot to the table.
Awesome. Mike?
Oh, I liked it too. I thought it was very interesting. There was a lot of kind of, like I said, background information about the industry that I had no idea about, and it was stuff that it gives a certain perspective to the industry that to me is interesting.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I know you're not a big convention goer. Having read this book, would you want to experience San Diego just one time?
Absolutely not. No, not in any way, shape, or form. As crazy as that sounds, and as many
I'm not saying
fans as I will lose among our viewing public, there's no way I could do it. I just couldn't. I mean, you guys went with me to the Dallas Comic-Con. We were there for 5 or 6 hours. I am not kidding when I tell you that I came home and basically twitched for 2 days afterwards because of the sheer overstimulation of the Dallas Comic-Con. There's no way I could handle San Diego. I couldn't do it. I would last about 2 hours, and then I would have to be sedated, pretty much. And that is a personality thing for me. I have this thing about crowds, and it just drives me crazy after a very short time. But, I mean, and besides that, the other side of that, and probably the more important side, is San Diego Comic-Con at this point has become just this huge pop culture thing. And honestly, all I'm really interested in is the comic stuff. I honestly think that the Comic-Con has become completely overloaded with everything else, and it's not really a comic book convention anymore. So I automatically lose interest from there.
Okay.
So you're saying it's gotten too big for its own good?
Yeah, I mean, if I lived in San Diego and that was the only comic book convention of the year, I wouldn't go. I would drive up to LA or something, just to get into it. I mean, because I know I'm weird. I'm completely weird, but for me, I want to be able to recognize the people at a con. I mean, I just got done complaining about the Dallas Comic-Con, which is not fair. But, I mean, that's the kind of con you can show up to and you can see the same people every time. And you can, like, walk in and shake hands with people and say, hey, how's it going? Haven't seen you since the last con. That sort of thing. And that's what that should be, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there needs to be a more personal element to it. And there's no way anything could possibly be personal in the madness that is San Diego.
That's interesting.
Tear me up. Trash me. Come on.
No, that's actually, that's kind of interesting. I know.
Go ahead.
Okay. I know that's some of the complaints we're jumping cons. We're taking more local. I know that's some of the complaints about the last one here in Dallas because it was too big, and some fans complained that it needed to be smaller again. And I kind of understand being a little bit smaller and where you can get that aspect that you were talking about, Mike, being able to walk in and see friends that you hadn't seen in a few months, some of the old dealers that we always see them, and but we were able to see them and talk to them in May too. But yeah, that's an interesting point where there's really not there's almost a coldness. I guess a coldness. Is that what you're kind of saying? There's no personality. It's just you were pretty much there to see who you want to see, be in the panels you want to be in, and then get whatever merchandise you want to get. I mean, am I wrong? What? Help me out here.
No, I think you're right. There's maybe not, going to the Dallas, there's not maybe a lot of personalization going on. But if you want to shrink this, you're going to do one of two things. You're either not going to get the stars, the celebrities that you wanted.
Yeah.
Or you're going to pay an exorbitant price to get in. Which route do you want to take? Because when they bring in an artist, when they bring in an author or a
celebrity,
or of some sort, an actor or a TV star or whatever, they have to pay that person.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're charging, just say $10, then you're going to have to get a lot of people there to pay those people off.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay $30 or charge $30 a person as the flat rate, then you probably wouldn't have to sell as many tickets to pay those people off. Yeah,
which is good because you're probably not going to sell as many tickets.
That depends, though, Mike. To me, it depends on who they get.
It depends on who the person is. Yeah.
If it's Stan Lee every time, as they have locally here this past year, yeah, they're going to get a turnout every time. If it's
be careful, I'll mention names.
No, if they're just going to get somebody that is a staple every year or every time they have a convention, no, you're not.
You're not going to have the demand. Yeah.
The demand.
The demand. Yeah.
But you're going to have with William Shatner, or
Well, even on the comic front, the last one we had Neil Adams, the first time Neil Adams was ever in the Dallas area, and that still blows my mind.
Yeah.
That he's never done a con here in the Dallas area.
And which is strange with all the fantasy fairs that they had back in the 90s.
That's exactly. I figured he would have been to at least one of those.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure he hadn't done any of the Wizard Worlds, but yeah, you're going to have to pay money to see someone like him.
Right.
But
But I also
it was worth it.
Yes, I believe it was worth it. And you have to look at it that way. Smaller conventions are fine, but in a smaller convention, you better just be ready. And they've had them. I've seen them where it's comic book sales, it's vendors. And it's just a comic book convention. You go there, and yeah, you've got 20 vendors out there with tables, and they've got their sales. They've got their wares out there for sale. You're not going to see any signings or celebrities or bigwigs.
Well, and if there's any celebrities or artists or anything like that, it's more local.
More local, and
which is fine.
Yeah, which is unknown, usually unknowns, but some of those are tremendous.
So those, I mean, I'm not knocking those. Those are just as good as some of the big names too.
Yeah, because we've got some people that did strips that went on to bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Bizarro and Argyle Sweater are two local comics or comic strips done locally, and or the artists are local, artist writers. So you can have those at a small convention, and that's all well and good. But for a person like me, I'm unlike Mike. I want to see the glitz and glamour and toss everything you can at me, because I want to try to see it all. We have connections, and Mike has met some of those connections now too at the last convention.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. And as far as San Diego, I'm going to brag. Yeah, I've got a couple of people that I know there, and I am in contact with them. Usually they're trying to sell me something, but that's okay. At least I've got contact with them.
That's part of the business.
Yeah, because...
Well, where were these contacts in getting you passes to be there?
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're not local people, so...
And you didn't offer to buy enough from them to get a consideration there.
Get a pass. Or maybe next time I'll just say, look, I'll stand in your booth, I'll look stupid. Well, maybe I'll be your shill, maybe I'll be your plant, and come in and start talking to you and get somebody else into your booth.
Oh, you got that? Well, that's awesome. That's a great price, actually. I can't believe it.
Yeah. I paid.
Right, if you
I've
like
never
that
done
one,
this
you might
before,
want to
have
try
I?
this one over here.
I've never done that before, have I? I sound like a pro there.
So you see who I am, okay? I'm at your disposal. No, because to tell you the truth, I've bought some beautiful artwork from some of these guys, and they've been very good to me, very considerate.
You always have a nice haul from San Diego.
As you know, it's usually shipped home.
It's shipped home.
It goes over.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, you have to go to the FedEx place and say, okay. They'll say, we can get it there by Wednesday, and you go, okay, if I have to wait 2 days, that's okay, I guess.
Better than what you have to pay to get it on an airplane.
Yes. Yeah, and try to juggle it. No. It's fun.
I've been saying for a long time that I want to do it at least once, but now that I'm in the media, I guess I'm in the media now. Probably wouldn't need to be going every year because I need to be doing my job.
There you go. Well, next year we'll be online, more than likely.
Well, hopefully I can get on this year. Things just didn't work out for me this year.
And if you get online, let me know and get 2. And if I get online, I'll let you know and get 2. Because I know that we'll get 3, and we'll get Mike to go with us, of course.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If he has to suffer this, you got to go through it too, pal.
He likes it. He wants to do it. I'm not the one that wants to do it. I'll hold down the fort back here.
Well, remember, there is, like you said in your academic gatherings, there are so many things to see that you're categorizing, the hour and what's available, and you want to make sure that you see that stuff. That, to me, was the most fun of the convention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the dealer's floor is great. It's massive. It's,
Didn't you
4 times as large as...
Didn't you tell me you'd spend all 4 days in the dealer's room and still not see everybody?
Still not see everything. Yeah.
That's how big it is, Mike.
You could walk it and walk it and walk it and still not really see everything.
Well, although I think there's pictures in the book that kind of show you how massive.
Yeah, because in the pictures, they show a number above you and then a number at the far end, and it starts at 100 and the far end is like 5,400. So you've got that many, plus it's spread out. From the center, it's about 3 or 2 aisles more. So it's huge. But Mike, I think you would really like going to some of the reviews, some of the panel discussions. Some of them are tremendous.
Well, see, if the 3 of us will go there, then we can split up the list.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I knew that was coming at some point.
You knew I was going to say that.
I knew somebody was going to go there.
I know that we would be looking at the list, and you 2 would both of them look at me and go, "Did you circle My Little Pony?" I know that it'd be coming. But
no, but I know who probably would. Not someone here.
Yeah. It's getting back to the book. I thought it was a good read. It gave me a lot of insight, and like Mike said, it's the insider's look, and that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because I've always gone as a fanboy and loved it, but now to know a little more about it makes it a little more intriguing.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes me want to go up to some of these people and start talking to them about that, about the ins and outs.
Well, I could probably do that still on the local level.
Yes. Yes, you
That's
can.
a good place to start.
That's right.
Because I know you still
Start
want me
somewhere.
to introduce you to Mark.
Yes, I do. Please.
We can do that maybe in October.
Okay. I'd like that.
It'd be cool. Anything else before we want to start wrapping up? Someone talk about StripCon for a little bit.
Mike, do you have anything else on this?
Do you have anything, Mike, on this? Anything
No,
else?
I agree. I really enjoyed the book. I mean, I actually zipped through it in about 2 days. I read it. I ended up reading it. It just grabbed me when I started reading it, which sounds crazy, but you don't think of a book like this as being that kind of book, but maybe I'm weird. So it just kind of grabbed me, and I just couldn't stop reading it.
Cool.
And then I was annoyed that you guys hadn't read it yet because I wanted to talk about it, but then it was like a month later before I got a chance.
No.
But anyway, I read fast, by the way, just in case anybody's thinking I'm complaining. I'm not really. I'm a really fast reader.
Well, it just depends on. In my case, it depends on what's going on. How there's times I'll read something real quick and then I can move on. But I've been working on other stuff, so I have read. I know I've read a few chapters of it, but I just hadn't finished it yet. But I will. And it sounds like it's a very interesting book.
It is.
This would be a good book to read, and then to pick up like 2 months later and read again. just to kind of pick up more detail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially for someone who's interested in the industry insider type stuff.
And I think that intrigues everybody that is a comic book reader or a follower.
Well, it'd be nice. It would be nice to know just that side of it, because you don't really, obviously, you don't see that side. You don't just see. Okay.
A couple things I do notice online the last few days. I want to bring back the passing of Ray Bradbury.
Mm-hmm.
Man that gave us oh so much, and was so instrumental in my sci-fi reading with the Martian Chronicles, Something Wicked This Way Comes, the S is for space, R is for rocket, things like that.
Excuse me.
Some tremendous stories, and I'm sorry to hear that he has passed.
Yeah.
He even had a TV series at one time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And which was just visualizations of his stories.
Yeah. I remember that. I think it was wasn't it on HBO?
HBO.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, of course, just recently, the passing of Andy Griffith.
Just today.
So, another fine comedian that caught my interest with No Time for Sergeants.
Mm-hmm.
And that was prior to the Andy Griffith show.
I did see that Turner Classic Movies is doing a marathon July 18th, and No Time for Sergeants is one of the movies that they're going to show. And it's a funny movie.
That and Onion
It
Head.
has to be one of the movies they show. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Onion Head is another one that has to be shown.
I don't remember what else is on there, but yeah, big loss. Anything did you want to add there, Mike?
No, I agree. I think they both deserve mention. I mean, Les, you mentioned the Martian Chronicles with Bradbury. That honestly was one of the handful of science fiction books that got me started in science fiction. So, I even think, if I remember correctly, I sent Thomas a message that day to say, hey, can I post something somewhere about this?
I said, sure, go ahead.
Well, I thank you for doing that, because it means a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
That's about it for me.
Okay. Before we head out, I'm going to go ahead and start promoting this. We have made arrangements for those who live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. There is a web comics expo called StripCon. It's going to be Saturday, August 4th. We will be there covering it, but we'll also be there as exhibitors trying to promote the website and our webcasts and all that. So if you're in the local area, please come by. I've got something on the main page. It's on the upper right hand corner. It's a link. Click over there. Check it out. There's always some good local talent who are doing web comics, and a lot of them are really, really good.
Yeah.
We went to it last year and had a good time. It was an interesting experience.
Yes.
I mean, it's a one-day thing from 10 to 5, but it was fun. We didn't sit around looking at what's going on. Okay, what's going on now? It was fun.
Yeah.
Met some interesting people.
Had a couple of panels.
We did a couple of panels. I don't know if we'll be involved with panels this year or not. We'll find out. Who knows? If we're not, that's fine. We'll be there we're going to do some interviews and hopefully have them up on the website. So
we will definitely try to record something, if not actually broadcast it live.
Yeah, we might do a live broadcast there, but we're definitely going to do some videotaped interviews. and then have them on the website. But I want to go ahead and start promoting that we'll be there and that the con will be there. So if you're in the local area, please check it out. It's the South Fork Hotel in Plano. Like I said, go to the website. There's a link there. Check it out, and hope to see you there.
Yeah, come see us.
Yay!
Yeah, the South Fork is on the east side of 75, north of 15th Street in Plano.
I believe you're right.
Just a couple blocks north, so it's real easy to get to from either direction, so either north or south.
So I'm looking forward to that.
It
should be a lot of fun. Like I said, it was fun last year, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot bigger this year, which is a good sign.
Yes.
That means it's growing, it's becoming more popular, and that's always a good thing. So there's that, and I guess we can say, yeah, there is a convention coming in October. We've already talked about it.
Yeah.
We haven't made arrangements yet to be there, but we are planning to be there.
Yeah.
We'll start working on that soon. So, and we'll start promoting that when we get closer. So, stay tuned for that. So, just one final time, for those who are watching us live tonight, thank you for watching. Have a safe and fun 4th of July. Those who are watching us in replays, hope you had a great holiday. Hope everything's fine. And hopefully we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
Tell your friends about us.
And please spread the word about the website, about the webcast. We do have the forums up and going. It's on the website. Please feel free to post, to respond to any of the news items or reviews that we're doing. If you have a topic that you want to start up a discussion, please feel free to use that. That's what it's for. It's there for us to kind of discuss things that are going on. Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be just comics. It can be outside of the comics, whether it's news, movies.
It's not like we don't get distracted and start talking about other stuff as it is. So
right. So please partake of that and have fun. That's what it's there for. It's for us to have fun and have good conversation. So until 2 weeks, y'all take it easy, and good night.
Good night.
Later, folks.